Hey now, Briterion Bollection. We're back. I'm here with Byron. I'm your host, Kevin. And today we're gonna kick off our horror movie fest for October. So I kind of thought, okay, what movies can we talk about? What would be good? There's so many horror movies out there. How do you narrow it down? Kind of.
It's hard to start.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
But then I looked at Tubi, which is usually a guiding force for us, and I'm like, okay, what's leaving soon? And so I looked at that, and I was like, oh, perfect, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep.
That was the one we settled on.
Yeah, which I had already kind of thought about doing that anyway. Having it be Halloween soon.
Fit, I think.
It forces the issue. Yeah, I remember seeing this back in the day when it first came out. I saw it on VHS. I didn't see it in the theater, but I remember, I guess we rented it at Blockbuster. I remember like my brother rented it because I think he was just like, oh, well, this Salma Hayek chick is in it, so I want to see it. Or like he rented it, and then it was like me, him, my cousin, some of our other friends. We like gathered around to watch it because we're like, okay, we're getting, this is a scary movie, so let's like get into this. But it really wasn't that scary, it was kind of more action, comedic.
Action, comedy, horror, I would say.
Right.
They almost fit 3 genres in there.
Right.
For this film.
Which, but I always loved the movie. Ever since then, I always thought it was great. And as the years went by, I was like, well, this is a masterpiece, and then realizing that these guys were behind it. Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because Tarantino was already kind of big. I already knew who he was, even though I was a kid, because they made such a big deal out of Pulp Fiction when that came out.
Right.
So I was like, I could recognize Tarantino when I was like 11 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know who he was till later on, but and I didn't see that film till a lot later on. But
right. Yeah, me neither.
I didn't see it in '96 when it came out. Is what I'm saying. But
oh, okay.
It definitely was something I would revisit a lot. Because it's just the acting in there, the type of movie it was, and like you said, it's a staple. I think it's lasted over time, and it's always a good film to throw on.
Right. So you saw it a bit later, like as a teenager?
I can't remember exactly. I would say teenage to early 20s, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely saw it a lot later.
Right.
I don't know why. I think I may have came across it, but I just never watched it.
Right.
But when I did watch it, it kind of stuck with me. I like revisiting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and then they started pumping out random sequels, and
those were talk about that. They made 3 of them.
Yeah.
It's funny how the third movie always has like a Western theme.
Yeah. Why? Like they always do that.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles,
Back to the
Future, Dusk Till Dawn.
Done it a few times.
Yeah.
It's like,
stop the Western three-peat. I don't like.
Why at the number 3?
Yeah.
Is that way? That doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah. All of a sudden, by the time the third movie rolls around, everybody wants to be Clint Eastwood or something.
Right. I guess the directors just go for it. Like, hey, let's turn this into a Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Clint Eastwood film.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So From Dusk Till Dawn, it was written by Tarantino and directed by his good friend Robert Rodriguez. And this is actually going to be our second Robert Rodriguez film we're talking about, because me and Aileen talked El Mariachi, which is
another great film. I saw that.
Right. So to see these two guys come together, they got friendly when they were on the film festival circuit. So Rodriguez was showing El Mariachi and Tarantino was showing Reservoir Dogs.
That was the start of
their friendship.
Yeah.
So they would meet at these film festivals, and they were kind of the only two who were doing like weird action-y type of movies. Everyone else was doing like art house drama type of movies,
Maybe that's what drew them to.
Yeah.
Because they were the only ones, like you said, doing those films.
Yeah, so that's why, and they're still close to this day. I think I mentioned on El Mariachi, if you see the Kill Bill end credits, it says, "Thank you, Robert Rodriguez, my brother." He fits my brother there. So they're really close. And so to see Rodriguez direct Tarantino's, words and his story, I think it's pretty cool. Like it should happen more often.
Yeah. for sure.
It would be nice to see. But yeah, so Tarantino, to me, this is Tarantino's third best script for me, behind Pulp Fiction and Inglourious Bastards. I would say those are his top two.
I think most people would agree. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
But
got a few other films, but those should be at the top of the list.
right, yeah, and but I think I'm probably in the minority who would say this is his third best. You know,
Yeah, the other two are a lot more acclaimed, I think, by
right.
people.
They're more
But
universally
I don't. You're
acclaimed.
right. I don't hear from Dusk Till Dawn being that high up as far as
Right.
a movie he wrote.
Yeah.
is behind.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually think it's his third best because it has some of his best lines, honestly. And we'll get into those.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do our standard Wikipedia description, which we usually do. So Wikipedia says the plot follows a pair of American criminal brothers, Clooney and Tarantino, who take a family as hostages, Keitel, Lou, and Louis, to cross into Mexico, but ultimately find themselves trapped in a saloon, defending against a horde of vampires. So that's the synopsis from Wikipedia. And then you see, the movie comes on and you see Dimension Films come on. And they made some tight films at that time. Like they made Scream. They were connected with New Line Cinema. So they had all
doing it at the time.
Yeah, a lot of good B horror. So yeah, and then we open and we see this liquor store. And it's kind of a slow start. You just see this car pull up in this little like Texas liquor store somewhere, and you see this ranger guy pop out, and he goes inside and he talks to the clerk, and it's just kind of banal dialogue. But it seems banal, but then it gets controversial fast, actually.
It does.
Because Tarantino's writing. Even when it seems banal, he throws like politically incorrect things in there to
On purpose.
to keep you on edge. So you see the ranger. It's funny because he seems kind of complaining. So the clerk asks him like, "What's the matter?" And he's like, It's like it's been one long goddamn hot miserable shit ass fucking day all the way. That's what he says. And so that's pretty funny when he says that. And then he's like, "Oh, you must have heard about this bank robbery." He's saying, "Oh, you must have heard about this bank robbery." And then the clerk is like, "Oh yeah, it's been on the box all day." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "They killed a few rangers. They killed some civilians." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah." So he's kind of on edge about that. But then also you hear him complaining. He says, "Oh, I went to the fast food place, and that lady has her son. He's handicapped." He uses more politically incorrect language in that when he says it. But he's basically saying, "Oh, yeah, like she has her son who's mentally handicapped working there, and like he ate his food and made me throw up all over the place." He's like, "You need to put people like that in a circus." That's what he's saying. So like you can see that that's Tarantino's writing. He writes very politically correct. And then that cop goes to the bathroom, and next thing you know, right when he goes to the bathroom, then all of a sudden the camera pans and you see George Clooney come out of nowhere with a gun, and he's holding a girl. And he comes up to the clerk, and so George Clooney plays Seth Gecko, is his name. And he comes up, he's like, "What the fuck was that?" And he has the gun to the clerk. And the clerk's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, why are you talking? Why are you making chit chat with this guy?" He's like, "He's just supposed to come in and get the hell out."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I talk to this guy every day. If I blew him off, he thinks something weird is going on."
Right.
He's like, "I'm trying my best." And he's like, "Well, your best better get a whole lot fucking better." He's like, "Or else it's gonna get a whole lot fucking worse for you." And he has the gun right to his head. And the sound design in this movie is really good. Like you can hear everything clearly. Like the guns are loud. The little vampire sounds are really cool. So you see that, and then you see Tarantino come out of nowhere, and he has a girl too. He has a girl by the hair, and he plays Richie Gecko, his brother.
Yeah.
And he's saying, "Oh," he's like, "I think he's trying to tell the cop to he's trying to ask for help from the cop," and he's like, "No," he's like, "I'm not," and he's like, "Okay, we got you better get his ass out of here right now." So they hide again, and the cop comes out, and he's like, "He's gonna pay for the alcohol that he buys." And then all of a sudden, you just see Tarantino come out of nowhere and just go, boom, just blast him right in the back of the head, and that dude falls to the ground. The ranger and the clerk's like, "What the hell did you do that for?" Clooney says that too. He's like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing?" He's like, "Why are you shooting him?" And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "He mouthed the words, 'Help us.'" He's like, I didn't mouth anything. He's like, yeah, you did. He's like, no, I didn't. And then he's like, well, like, he's like, it doesn't matter now. He's like, you're a dead man. Like, that's what Clooney says. And then he grabs a gun, like he falls to the ground. And he's trying to open the safe where he has a gun, and they hide in the aisleways that he have. And it's funny because I heard that they had to build this. This was a set. It wasn't a real liquor store.
Oh,
so they built this, but it was just like one aisle. So it wasn't very big. Yeah. So they had to pretend like that it was bigger. You know, like when you see them looking back, like, hey, Richie. He's like, hey, Seth. Like, they're really in the same aisle right next to each other, but they're trying to make it seem, yeah. But that's the magic of movies. You wouldn't know, right? yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. Exactly. You would make it. They had to make it seem like, Richie, where are you? Like, you know, like, but really, if you pan out, they're right next to each other. Yeah, but that's funny about it. And so, and then he's like, okay, he's like, you shoot the bottles behind him, like right now. And so he starts shooting the bottles behind him, and he's getting all this liquor on him. And then Seth, he lights a toilet paper on fire, and he throws it back there, and the dude's on fire, and then he comes up, and he's still trying to shoot. And he shoots Tarantino in the hand, so he has this hole in his hand. Right? And were you going to mention something about that?
No, that was my first moment. That stood out to me in the movie was Tarantino getting his hand shot.
He has the hole in his hand.
He has a hole in his hand. He tries to wrap it up, but yeah, he's definitely shot in the hand.
Right.
From there, you know, the action picks up and continues. But that was like one of the first moments for me.
Yeah, and it's funny because while that guy is like on the ground trying to open the safe, Clooney is trying to tell, Richie's trying to tell Seth, like, oh, he's like, he mouthed the words help us. And he's like, okay, he's like, start the car. And then he's like, you believe me though, right? He's like, start the car. Like he just tells him, he doesn't believe him, but he's just like over it. He's like, shut the fuck up and start the fucking car. Yeah, I love that. And they're walking out while the thing's exploding. The whole like the girls run out, the teenage girls run out, they escape, but then they're just walking out arguing while the shit is exploding behind them. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. I like that. And then it's funny when Seth comes out when that clerk starts shooting Tarantino. Seth comes out and he's like, ah! He like runs up and he makes this funny face where his mouth is open. He looks like Rambo or Rocky shooting a gun. He's just, ah! Yeah, it's just kind of a funny face.
Yeah.
But this is really the first real movie that Clooney ever did, because he did like he was on ER at the time, but at the time it was like TV people can't do movies and vice versa. Like movie people can't do TV, so it was like two separate worlds at the time. But he was on ER, and they were like, "Who can we get for the lead of this?" And they're like, "All right, George Clooney." Like, why not?
That was his first, though. I didn't know.
Yeah, well, he did like
big movie.
Yeah, big movie, like because he did in the '80s. He did like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes or something, or that was like 88 or 89 or 90 or something like that. Yeah, and then he struggled on TV. He was trying to get parts on TV, so he was on like Facts of Life or something in like the early '90s.
Okay, so this was kind of a breakthrough.
Yeah, kind of. At least in movies, because he was on ER, so that was big.
Right.
But then
he had the shows. He didn't have the movies.
Yeah, because that was like a stigma. They were like, okay, well, he's good on TV, but he can't carry a movie.
Yeah, he's not carrying it, right.
But they were saying on the commentary track, which the commentary track for this is one of the best, because you get to hear Rodriguez and Tarantino. And they're so different. Like Rodriguez, he has such a calm vibe. Like he talks so like Zen-like, you know, and then Tarantino's a total opposite. So like them, it makes total sense that they're friends, because they totally complement each other, because they're so different. Like how they interact is like night and day. So yeah, if you have a chance, listen to the commentary track of that DVD. Yeah, but it was interesting. So after that, you see them, they go in the car, and it's funny, it's a nice little gag. They're driving off, and you see the title card. It has a cool like old school Night of the Living Dead kind of logo to it, you know.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. And they're driving, and you see Tarantino, he like looks at Clooney through his hand, like he looks through the hole in his hand looking at him. That's a funny gag. And then you see the trunk, and it does like this dissolve thing, and you can see like a lady in the trunk, like you can see her like crying in the trunk, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess there's this lady in the trunk.
In there, right.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool how they did that.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they go to this motel, but it's funny because like while they're driving, Clooney, he's popping pills. He's like he has some like prescription pills that he's popping. He has like a beer while he's driving, so it's kind of funny. So they get to this motel, and he's like tapping that ringer, that chime. You know, he's trying to like
get the
bell. Yeah, but there's no one there. He's like.
Yeah.
And then no one comes out. He's like, ding, 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 ding. He keeps slapping it. And then finally, this old guy comes out. He's like, what the hell do you want? And then Clooney's like, what do you think I want? I want a freaking room, you mean fucking bastard. So he tells the guy. And then the old guy's like, oh, okay.
What else do you think you want, right?
What else would he want? But it's just funny, the whole interaction. Because he says that, and you expect him to be like offended by it. But then the old guy's like, oh, okay. Like he just lets they cut to they have a room, and so they're going to the room, and then Richie is asking Seth. He's like, "Oh, do they have an X-rated channel?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "No, they don't." And he's like, "What do they have?" And he's like, "They have a bed. That's all you fucking need. Like you're just gonna sleep in there, and that's it." And so they open the trunk, and we see this obligatory Tarantino shot, like from the view of the trunk. He always has that in almost all his movies. You always see like up. That's like a real Tarantino thing. Yeah. He's the one who invented that. No other movie had did that until he did that in Reservoir Dogs. You had never seen, you had never seen a shot like that until he did that. Yeah, and then he's done it subsequently. Yeah, ever since, except for the period pieces. Like he obviously didn't do it in Django because that's an old movie.
Yeah,
he didn't do it in. I don't think he does it in Inglourious Basterds because that was also an old, World War II movie. And then so they bring out this middle-aged lady who I guess in the commentary, that was actually Tarantino's acting teacher. So he actually used her, like he gave her a little cameo with that. So yeah, they carry her in there, they bring her into the motel room quickly, and he's like, okay, plant yourself in that seat. Clooney says that to the lady, and the lady's like, "Buh, buh, buh." And then he's like, I told you to plant yourself. Plants don't talk. Yeah, she's just like shivering, scared there. And Seth tells her, like, okay, we're going to cross into Mexico. We need to meet Carlos. And Richie's like, oh, ask Carlos if we can negotiate a better rate, too. And then Clooney says, he's like, these aren't spick firecracker salesmen from Tijuana. He's like, these are real drug dealer guys. That's what he says. And he's like, you want to get to El Rey, it has a price. Price is 5%, and so that's basically the goal of the movie, which I guess is he actually took it from a book. He took it from this William Faulkner novel, and there's been adaptations of it where they're like, okay, we're trying to go to El Rey. That was like the whole goal of it. It was from that book, and when they've done movies, they never mentioned that El Rey or whatever. So that's why he wanted to put it in this movie. He's like, oh, I want to really mention El Rey because I want to have that in the film. So that's the whole goal of the movie. They're trying to go cross into Mexico and go to El Rey, and they'll kind of just live out their lives there because they've killed too many people in the U.S. that they need some sort of sanctuary. So that's kind of the whole point of the movie. And he kind of breaks down the rules to her, and I like that part. He's like, rule number 1, no noise, no questions. It's like, if you make a noise, Mr. 44 makes a noise. And he has his gun. He's like, if you ask a question, Mr. 44 answers it. It's funny how he does really good dialogue here. And he's like, don't you ever try to run on us, because I got 6 little friends that can all run faster than you. That's what he says. So he has great lines. And a lot of those lines were Tarantino's. He says that, like, he was like, oh, since we casted George in the movie, then I gave him all my good lines. He's like, I was going to have all these lines. He's like, but we're like, oh, let's give it to him. Because he's like the star of the movie now. Yeah. So really, a lot of those funny lines are supposed to be Tarantino's. Yeah. He leaves, and he's like, okay, I'll be right back. You see Tarantino, Seth, he's watching TV, he's watching cartoons on the bed, and he can see the lady just sitting there.
Calls her over.
Yeah, he's like, you want to sit with me and watch TV?
But she doesn't want
to. And she's just like shivering there. Like he like urges her. He's like, come on.
Right, like a dog.
Yeah. So she walks over there slowly, and she just sits with him. And then we see this family having breakfast in this diner, and the family is comprised of Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis as his daughter, and this random Asian kid as his son.
The mix was weird, right?
Yeah, I was like,
'Cause
okay,
if that's the father, you wouldn't think that his son would be Asian, but
yeah, and so I guess,
and the daughter
and
either.
I don't get it.
I don't know.
It's not so much that he's. I guess you can assume he's adopted.
Yeah,
you know?
we get that.
Yeah. The weirder thing is like, who the hell is the actor? Where'd you find him? I mean, because he never did anything else. Like, his name is Ernest Liu. I've never seen he has nothing, no other credits. This is the only damn movie he's ever done.
Literally.
So I'm like, where the hell did you get this kid, and why? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why did you need this random Asian kid
Right.
in this
He
role?
could've- Not saying he did a bad job.
Right.
He did the role, but
Yeah,
it just seems weird that he got casted.
yeah, it was weird. Yeah, so they're having breakfast there, and they're also trying to go to Mexico. They're
Ironically,
yeah, they're taking a road trip. They have a motor home, and so yeah, Juliette Lewis, we know her from a lot of movies.
Yeah.
California, Brad Pitt, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Christmas Vacation.
Oh yeah, that's where I first saw him.
Yeah,
Forgot about that.
great film. The Other Sister, which Aileen loves that movie. We plan on talking about that sometime. Yeah, she's done a lot of
Old school.
Old School. Yeah, yeah, she's in that. Yeah, so it's cool to see her in this. So Harvey Keitel, he plays a pastor, but he's lost his faith because his wife died, and he's just kind of
going through that.
Yeah, and then we cut to Kelly Preston. She plays this news anchor, rest in peace, and she's funny because she plays like this, like your kind of ditzy anchor, and she's kind of telling how the Gecko brothers, they've killed 5 Rangers, 4 civilians. Like, she's doing it like it's a scoreboard. Like, she's like,
right.
That's what's
Like
funny about it. Yeah, exactly. She's like, they killed 5 Rangers, 6 civilians. Right. Like, they have 2 hostages. Like,
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she interviews like the police chief, and did you recognize that guy who's like the police chief?
I forget.
He's the guy from. He was in Nightmare on Elm Street, and
he was the dad.
Yeah, he's the dad. Nancy, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he was in. John Saxon. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, because he's in Enter the Dragon too. He's yeah. Okay. So he's been in a lot of like B cult movies, so that's why they casted him. Yeah, because they'll be like, oh, he's a classic dude, so why not? So the family drives their motorhome into the motel parking, and the kids are like, "Why are we staying here? Let's just keep going. Let's just keep driving to Mexico. Like, why do you want to stay in this shitty ass motel?" And he's like, we just need to. I want the rest. And they're driving. Then all of a sudden you hear the brakes, like, and then they're like, "What the hell?" And Clooney is just standing right in front of them. He's drinking a beer. They're like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's just like drinking the beer, like no reaction. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing, guy?" And then he slowly walks away from them. And they're like, "Oh, who's the hell is this guy? Creepy guy." That's what Juliette Lewis says. And then like you see Clooney turn around like in slow motion, and the camera like zooms on his face, and because he has like an idea, I guess. So he gets this idea, and he goes back into the room with Seth, and he's there, and he's like, "Oh." Like he like you see him looking at the bed, and he's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And you see little flashes, like you see little cuts of the bed, and you see like blood. And Seth is like, "Oh, well, she started acting up, so I had to take care of her." And
Clooney wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah, Richie's like, yeah, he's Pias. He's like, but he gets it. I guess he gets that he's mentally not there, so not that he condoned that killing her, but
he didn't hold it. So
he's like, he's fucked up. We just have to get to fucking El Rey.
He gets over
end of the day,
and just keeps it moving.
Right. Yeah. So next thing, you see the family hanging out in their room, in their motel room, and then there's a knock at the door, and they're like, "Who the hell's that?" And we can hear that it's Tarantino, and he says, "Oh." He's like, "What do you want?" He's like, "Oh, I just want your ice. Like, can I borrow your ice bucket?" He's like, "I'll give it right back. We didn't get one." And he's like, "Okay, so fine." He's about to reach to get his ice bucket, and then you see Seth, Richie. You see him pull out the gun, and he's pointing it at Harvey Keitel, and And then like Harvey Keitel comes back. He's like, "What's that?" And then all of a sudden you hear this punch. You hear like Seth comes out and punches him. He's like, "It's called a punch," and he knocks him out. And they kind of hold them hostage. And then Rich he puts the gun in the Asian kid's mouth. Like he puts the gun and he's like, "Wider." He's like, "Open your mouth, like wider." And the kid's like, yeah, and they basically break it down for them. They're like, "Okay, like we need you guys. We're gonna ride with you to Mexico."
Yeah, they tell them the plan. As soon as we get in,
right,
they'll let you go, whatever.
right,
yeah.
And it's funny because Juliette Lewis was like in the pool or something, and then she comes back in. She's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And she's like, "What the hell's going on?" And then Tarantino tells her like, "Oh, we're having a bikini contest, and you just won." And he like throws her in there, and then so they explain the whole thing. But then you see it from Tarantino's point of view. You see it from Richie's point of view. She turns around and looks at him right in the face. And she's like, "Richie, like, will you do me a favor and eat my pussy for me?" She says, and he's like, yeah, sure." So he said, but she didn't really say that, but he's thinking she says that. Yeah.
He definitely.
Yeah. He has these hallucinations and stuff. So he's like, yeah, sure. Like that reaction is just funny. So like it's funny because you get to see the world for a second, how Richie sees the world. And there's a funny thing where they're like, "Okay, then let's go." That's like Seth is saying, "Let's go." Yeah. He's like, "Gidget." He's like, "You Gidget, get your ass over here." He tells her. Gidget? Yeah, because so Sally Field, she used to be in this show in the '60s called Gidget, and she always used to wear like a bikini, like she was always on the beach or whatever. So that's why he calls her that. He's like, "You Gidget, get your ass over." So yeah, Seth tells Jacob, "Oh, we want you to hide us in your motorhome, cross into Mexico because they want to suspect the family, like this, to do this sort of thing." So, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not driving you into Mexico, and that's that." And he has the gun. He's like, "That's not fucking that. This is fucking this." And yeah, so he basically at gunpoint he has to agree to the. At that point. And they're like, "Where are we going?" Juliette Lewis, like they're in the back, like the kids are in the back with Tarantino, and she's like, "Where are we going?" He's like, "Mexico." She's like, "What's in Mexico?" He's like, "Mexicans." Yeah. But it's funny because the Asian kid, his acting is kind of horrible here because he's like way too happy for a situation like this. Like he's too nonchalant. You really a little bit more terrified. Yeah. But he's like happy-go-lucky kind of. Like it's it's kind of funny. And so they get to the border, like the Mexico border, and they have their own agents like checking on people. Similar to the reverse when you're on the Mexico side trying to get to the U.S. You have CBP. Well, they have their own sort of CBP, their own border guards. And so Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong fame, he plays. This is the first part that you see him play. He plays one of the border guards, and he's inspecting the motorhome, and he's talking. Well, he's talking to Harvey Keitel at first, and he's like, "Okay." He's like, "What's your business in Mexico?" And Harvey Keitel's like, "Oh, I'm taking my son to see his first bullfight," which sounds like bullshit, really. Like, who's doing that? Right? Yeah. And actually, they just banned bullfighting in Mexico, like so you won't see it anymore. So you won't see that. Yeah. Not that it was really commonplace nowadays, but yeah, he tells him that, and he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "So," he's like, "Just you and your son?" He's like, "Yeah, just me and my son." He's like, "Okay," and then all of a sudden, he hears a noise because like Richie and Seth are arguing in the bathroom. He's like, "What was that?" He's like, "What was that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my daughter." He's like, "I thought you said it was just you and your son." He's like, "Oh, it's me and my son and my daughter." And then because he lied about that, he's like, "All right, I need to check that." Yeah. He's like, "Fuck." So he goes in there, and it's funny because you see Seth and Richie, they're arguing because Seth tells him, like, "Oh, okay, like stop acting like a fucking nut and just calm down and we'll be done with this." Right. But then Richie's like, "What do you mean fucking nut?" And he's like, "Yeah, like just shut the fuck up." And he's like, "Yeah, but you're saying I'm a fucking nut." They're arguing during this whole time while Cheech comes in, and then he just gets to the point where Seth's like, "Ah," he just elbows Richie and knocks him out. He's out, and then Juliette Lewis is like, "Thanks." Seth is like, "Yeah." So that part's really funny. Cut to, you see Cheech. Yeah, he knocks on the bathroom door because it's closed, and she's like, "I'm in the bathroom," and then he's like, and then he just opens it, and that's the thing. You think that Tarantino and him are going to be right there, so he opens it, but it's just her on the toilet.
But they're
yeah.
there
Yeah.
inside the shop.
Yeah, but she's like, I'm in the bathroom. He's like, can you close the fucking door, please?
Could we just
And then he closes it, but he closes it slowly, and he like keeps looking while he's like closing it. Like while he closes it, like he's still looking. It's very funny. And then you're like, where'd they go? And then you see cut to her looking at them, and they're in the shower. And you see Seth, he has his gun pointed out, and then Richie's like asleep. He's like on his shoulder asleep. And then they cross the border and they go in, and then they come out and they're like, okay, we're here.
It's like, we're in Mexico.
Yeah. And then he's like, we're in Mexico. So yeah, I love this part. So Seth comes out, Clooney, he's like, we're in Mexico. And he grabs the Asian kid's face. He's like, we're fucking in Mexico, you little fucking There it is, yeah. So then they drive up and then get to the infamous titty twister.
Yeah.
Right?
Then it gets really fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Next scene.
And when you see this titty twister, it reminds me a lot of like that deja vu in TJ. You know, like when you're it reminds me a lot of that. So I think they did a good job setting it up that it was Mexico, because I don't think they really shot it. I think they shot it in Texas or something like that. But it really has like this feel of Mexico for sure.
Yeah.
And he did the right shit with everything. And then here's another infamous scene, right? So they're like walking up to the titty twister, and Cheech plays another role. He plays
role number 2.
Yeah, he plays this. What would you say? He's a host, or he's a
I guess you can call it that.
Yeah, he's a guy outside trying to get people to come in, enjoy the. Well, I guess his title in the thing is Chet Pussy.
That was it. That makes sense, because that's what he's inviting.
Right. So he gives this infamous pussy speech, is what it's called. Tarantino calls it that. And that's the thing. Like, he acts this so well. You would have thought this was all improvised. You would have thought he was just making all this shit up. He's like, no, this was written. This has been written in since the beginning of Tarantino's idea for this. He always had this speech there the whole time.
He wrote this.
But the way Cheech delivers it, it's just like you could see a guy like this in fucking TJ saying shit like this. Yeah, you can see this guy outside Deja Vu doing some shit like this. So he's like, all right, like pussy, come in, pussy lovers. Here at the titty twister, we're slashing pussy in half. Give us an offer on our vast selection of pussy. This is a pussy blowout. All right, we got white pussy, black pussy, Spanish pussy, yellow pussy. We got hot pussy, cold pussy. We got wet pussy. We got smelly pussy. We got hairy pussy. We got bloody pussy. We got stomping pussy. We got sick pussy, velvet pussy, nagahead pussy. We even got horse pussy, dog pussy, chicken pussy. Come on in. You want pussy? Come on in, pussy lovers. So if we don't got it, you don't want it. Come on in, pussy lovers. So like that whole thing, you would have thought he just improvised that.
That was written.
Yeah, that was totally written. And because he really sells it. And then the family walks up to him, and then he sees Juliette Lewis. He's like, oh, we got a new flavor. Apple pie pussy. And they're kind of just blowing him off. They're just going to walk in. And he's like, hey, not so bad. Seth is just like, he just knocks his ass out to the ground. And then he says the infamous line, is my shit together? Is my shit together? Which I love that line. And so he's on the ground, and then they all walk in. And then Tarantino's just like, he's like, let me get some. So he just starts kicking the shit out of the It's like, hey, how's it going? You like that? He's like, and then I guess in between takes, Cheech told Rodriguez, he's like, hey, he's really fucking kicking me. He's like, tell him to calm down or I'm going to kick his ass. He's like, yeah, he's kicking the shit out of me. Yeah, because he's like, oh. But he had like a
thing on,
like a belly thing. Yeah. He's like, well, he's not hitting the belly. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So they enter, they go inside, and Seth is like, oh, this is my kind of place, topless chicks, band playing, guys fighting, alcohol all over the place. And then you go in and you see Danny Trejo, he's the bartender, right? And George Clooney walks over there, he's like, whiskey. And he's like, he pours the thing, and he's like about to give it to him, and he's like, nope. And he drinks it. And he's like, you can't drink here. And he's like, why not? He's like, this is a private bar. This is for bikers and truckers only. That's what he tells them. He's like, so if you're not a biker or a trucker, then you can't drink here. And like, he's like, well, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like he busts out a gun, and then this other ugly guy comes out. The ugly fat guy comes out. He's like, hey, pendejo. He tells him, he's like, you got a problem here? And they're like about to fight, and then what's his name? Harvey Keitel comes in. He's like, hey. He's like, you said this is for bikers and truckers. He's like, that motorhome is mine. He's like, you need a license for that. And he's like, so
technically,
yeah.
we are happy.
He's like, so I am a trucker. He's like, if you need to be a trucker here, I'm a trucker. He's like, and these are my friends. And then Danny Trejo's like, all right, welcome to Mexico. Like, welcome to yeah. And then it's funny because Seth is like, you got food in this joint? And he's like, best in Mexico. And Seth is like, I highly doubt that. And then the look on his face, he's like so offended. And then he's like, all right. He's like, give us our orders at the table. So yeah, and then yeah, we see like the cast of characters, the other guys who will kind of play a part in the journey here. So you see Tom Savini, he plays Sex Machine, and he takes the guy's beer he has a whip that he has, and he just whips it, and he like takes the beer, and then that guy. So the guy he takes it from is Greg Nicotero. So he's part of the makeup crew. He's part of the K&B, but he has a cameo there. Right. And then so that guy he takes out a switchblade, like, hey, fucker, he took my beer. But then you see Sex Machine, he has this thing on his crotch that pulls out a gun, right? It's like this gun pulls up and it has like 2 barrels, right? Yeah, and he's like, oh shit, and he like hides the switchblade. He's like, all right. That was pretty good. Yeah, so that was cool. And then you see Fred Williamson, right? He plays Frost, and he was in a lot of like blaxploitation movies back in the day. He played the Hammer. He was in some movie like The Black Six. Did you ever hear about that? Never heard of that one. I know George, my friend George, who we did Rush Hour with. I know he loves that movie, and he showed me the trailer. I remember I was like, "What the hell?" Like Black Six. Like, the title is just like 6 black guys, basically. like Black Six. Yeah, and they all like they're part of a gang or whatever, and they each have their own like specialty. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you the trailer. Yeah. So yeah, Fred Williamson is there. Yeah, they try to get a good cast of cult guys around them, and then Danny Trejo, he gets the mic and he introduces Satanico Pandemonium, who's going to be the girl dancing, and that's played by obviously Salma Hayek, right? And this is like really the main reason I ended up watching this, because my brother was like, "Oh, Salma Hayek is in this. We have to watch this," and she wasn't that well known at the time. So it was like, okay, she's hot. We need to watch it. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're watching this. Sold it. Yeah. And watching it back, it's like, wow, she looks great. Yeah, especially, I mean, she still does look pretty good. Right. But yeah, she was a lot younger at the time. So that's really the main impetus I even watched this movie. Because of her, yeah. But then it just ended up being great. Right, all the other stuff. So yeah, so she plays this stripper in the Satanico Pandemonium. He got that name from there's a Mexican movie called that. So he was like, oh, I'm just gonna name her that. So yeah, and then she comes out and starts dancing on the table and in her bra and panties, and then she has the headdress and she has the snake around her. And yeah, it's kind of iconic now looking back. Seth is really into it. He's like, oh god, yeah. And then Richie is really into it too, and he's like really looking, like she's really looking at him, and he's looking at her. Right. And then it was funny, like on the commentary track, Rodriguez was like, oh, he's like, obviously the guy who wrote this gets to, suck on Salma Hayek's feet, or he was saying. And then he's like, hey, he's like, I gave George all my good lines. There was nothing for me to do, so I figured I would write this for me. Wow. Gotta give myself something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, you see her dancing, and then she picks up a bottle of wine and drinks it, but like drips it on her body, and then it goes onto her feet, and like she lets Tarantino suck on her feet from with the wine, and yeah, and then she finishes, and everyone's like, ah, and Seth really likes it. They give her a standing ovation, and then after that, Cheech, as the guy from the pussy speech, he comes in and he tells Trejo and the other fat guy, he's like their security guy. He's like, hey, this asshole's kicking my ass outside. Like, yeah, he's like, you guys beat the shit out of me outside. And it's funny because he's like, Richie, get back on the clock. That's what he tells him. Like, okay, like you're fun. You had fun with that girl. And like, now we got to get back to work. You know, like he's like, get back on the clock. And they're trying to kind of argue with them. But then Trejo comes out of nowhere and he stabs Richie's hand again, like where he got shot, where he has the hole. He stabs it onto the table. He's like, ah, fuck. So he's there. And then Seth is like, fuck you. So he starts shooting both of those other guys. And then hell starts to kind of break loose. Everyone's like, oh shit. Like now that everyone in the club is kind of scared. They're like, oh shit. Like shit's going down right here. They're like, they start like, you know, going around like watching their back. Like they have their guns like, hey, like anyone else trying to pull some shit, we're going to blast your ass. And then all of a sudden you hear Cheech, he gets up and he's like smiling. He's like laughing weirdly. He's like, and they're like, what the fuck are you laughing at? And then he's just like, and then you see them both just pull their guns and just blast him right there. And it's kind of funny. Salma, you know, she's there and she sees Tarantino's bloody hand, like dripping blood, and she's like, yeah, she's like kind of salivating from seeing that. And you're like, what the hell? Like, okay, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, her head turns into this like snake vampire thing. Like she turns into this like big bald snake vampire, and the weird thing is that Juliette Lewis sees that, and all she says is, "Richie, watch out!" That's what she says. Like her first, her first reaction. She doesn't react to her turning into a vampire or snake thing. She just says, "Richie, watch out." I would be more in shock about the chick turning into a snake than worrying about Richie. And then also, since when the hell does she care about Richie? Like, just because they've been on this journey now, they've bonded kind of. Like, now she cares about Richie. Then Salma jumps on his ass and bites the shit out of him, bites the shit out of his neck. He's like, "Argh!" And he's bleeding, and then it's hilarious. He falls to the ground, and he falls so good. Like he does really good falling here. He's like, "Ugh!" Like you see him fall, and it looks like he's really dead, like really dying. Yeah. He's like, oh, he falls to the ground. He's like, fucking bitch. His reaction is so hilarious. Like you would think, like, what the fuck is a fucking vampire or something? But all he can say is fucking bitch. Yeah, and I heard that got a lot of laughs. Like in the commentary, he was saying, I was showing this to some other directors. He's like, and they saw it and they were fucking laughing their ass off when I was saying fucking bitch.
That was the moment.
Correct. Yeah, it's hilarious. And then Trejo and Cheech and the other fat guy, they all pop up and they're vampires now. And they're like, oh shit. And then everyone's like, all hell breaks loose at that point. Everyone's jumping around, trying to run away. Vampires are grabbing them. All the stripper chicks turn into vampires and they start killing all the guys now. All the guys who are there, all the other guys. And they kill like most of the dudes. They kill like 98% of the dudes, basically.
It's going down.
Yeah, and then Cheech, he sees Juliette like by herself, so he like runs over to her, and it's like, okay, it's nice to know that these vampires still have like discernment.
Who they want to
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you would think they just kill whoever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I recognize her. Yeah. So he runs over to her, and he's like, oh, he's like, you know what everybody says about me? I suck. Like he sucks blood, but he was like, I suck. Like I really suck. And then it's funny because all like she has a cross, she's wearing a cross, and then she just decides to break it off and like put it in his mouth, and he starts burning and shit like that.
Right.
But it's like, so you already knew he was a vampire at that point. Like he could have been anything. What if he was an alien?
Because he didn't show.
He was just At that point, you already knew he was a vampire. So
something told her.
She had a spidey sense that these guys are vampires. Yeah. Or maybe she could see their teeth. Maybe like when they popped up, like you could see their teeth or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's partly what I like about the movie is that, you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like it's a B movie made by like real artists.
It's so critical.
Yeah, like they didn't take it so seriously, and they know, you know, they grew up watching these B movies, so they're like, we want to do something like that, but with a little more budget to it, you know. So that's partly why I love this movie. And then but when he explodes, it's sick. Like they did really good. That's what I love about this movie too, is it has really good in camera effects. Like hardly any CGI because there wasn't even really that advanced computers at the time. So everything had to be physical. Like it was all latex and stuff like that. Yeah, and like animatronics, like is like so when he like turns around and his eyes explode, I fucking love that. It's really cool.
Job with that.
Reminds me of like effects from like the thing. Yeah, because that has dope ass effects.
Right.
And so I think that's what what they were trying to do with this, like just like purely practical effects, like as much as possible. And then even when it does like blend with CGI, it's like you can't really tell. Like it blends really well. Not like nowadays. Like I was telling you earlier, like I'm sure you've seen all these AI videos now where you see like Tupac talking with like Mr. Rogers and shit like that. Like, it's fun, but that it's fake. You can just tell. You can just tell like it looks realistic, but it's not real. You know what I mean? And CGI is kind of like the same thing. When I see CGI, it's like, okay, yeah, that looks realistic, but I know it's not real.
Yeah.
But when you see practical effects, like the way the lighting is, like you can't fake that. Like it's just like it's real. Like there's something tangible to it. So I'm sure you'll start seeing more AI shit like that in movies. You'll start seeing effects like that, and it'll look the same way. It won't look 100% real. It'll be like, okay, that looks realistic, but it's not real.
It's not real.
Like you can just tell. It just has that thing. So yeah, those like his death scene is really cool. And then you see Savini and Trejo have like a showdown. And I remember Tarantino was like, "Oh, these guys are like each other's like opposite numbers, kind of like they're like perfect villains for each other." Like I'm trying to think who's like a perfect opposite of someone, like maybe in sports,
sports.
Like I guess you could say like Drexler, like Clyde Drexler is like a good opposite of like Jordan, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah.
like where it's like guys who are kind of similar, but they're like still kind of different. Yeah. So that's what I remember Tarantino saying that. And then it's funny because so Savini, he's on top of the pool table, and then Trejo like jumps up to him, and then he just says, like he just nonchalantly like says like, oh shit, like he barely like whispers it basically, and he steps out of the way, and then he uses a whip. He wraps Trejo's legs, and he like throws him to the ground, and then he gets back up, and then he has a pull stick. He just goes like, pow! He just smashes the shit. He just slaps it around his back, and it just breaks. And then he uses the end of the stick, and just like stakes him in the heart, and he's just like, ugh. But yeah, like I love how he just beats the shit out of him, like with a pull stick. And I don't think it was like a breakaway pull stick. I think it was a real pull stick. Like you could just hear the wood of it, and just like, like on his back. He's a lot older. Like how old is he now? He's like 80 or something.
Probably. Yeah.
So at the time he was 50.
Like 50, maybe.
Yeah. So it's like he was just wrapping this wood on this 50-year-old dude's back. Yeah, that's kind of really. I mean, Trejo, he's actually Rodriguez's cousin, so that's why he's worked with him numerous times. But believe it or not, Trejo did movies before Rodriguez even came of age. With El Mariachi, because he was a boxer before. So Trejo, he was a boxer, and they needed some boxing scene in the movie Runaway Train, which was like in the early 80s, like it was like 80 or 81. And so they hired him as like a boxing instructor for that movie. But then they were like, oh, like we need someone to box. Like, you want to be in the scene? And he's like, okay. So from there, then he started doing other movies. Then they were like, okay, like, because once you get that one, it's like it just comes like that. Like he did American Me, and he did all this shit out.
Right.
And then finally his cousin Rodriguez starts making movies. He's like, oh, it's like, well, you're my cousin. I'll be in your movies now. Yeah. Sure. So so that's kind of where I really first saw him, was this and Desperado, because he's in both of those. And then you're like, who the hell is this guy? You're like, he just came out of nowhere with this fucking big ass tattoo on his chest. It's like who the hell is this guy? But he ended up being a star from there. He ended up being Machete.
Yeah, that's his movie. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, and his cousin directed that too, right? So and then the fat vampire guy comes up, and he wants to kill Seth. He's like, he has his eye on Clooney. He really wants to kill him. And that the dad, Harvey Keitel, he wants to kill both of them. And then he's walking up to them, and then some guy is like in his way, like about to fight him, and he just like twists his neck, like like out of nowhere. He's just like, and he just keeps walking. And then he's about to run up to them, and then Fred Williamson's like, hey, Monkey Man. He's like, why don't you try me? Or whatever. He's like, okay. And so Then that fat guy runs up to him and he like rips his heart out. And so Fred Williamson rips his heart out, and you just see this big heart there, this like greenish black heart. And he's like, "What the hell?" But he's still alive. Like, I guess you can rip out their hearts and they're still alive, but you have to like kill the heart.
He comes with
He comes with a pencil. He's like, and then they have these hard ass hearts. I thought that would have like went through his hand. He like jabs the hell hard. Yeah, they must have these like rock hearts. I guess that's the vampire heart. But that's the thing. Like, that's something Tarantino said. He's like every vampire movie you do, you should add, you like take rules that exist, but then add new rules. That's what he was saying. So he was like, so we took some rules, obviously, you know, crosses, garlic, you know, the sun and shit like that. You know, yeah. He's like, but we also added. So he's like, we added that. When they become vampires, he's like, their bodies get like softer, like they get like kind of mushier. It's like, so we added that, so like you can kind of kill them easier in that sense. And he's like, so he's like, we added that rule, and he's like, and I hope other people take that rule later, you know. Yeah. So if I do a vampire zombie movie, I want to take that rule, the mushy body rule, you know. Right. I want to use that, and we'll have that in our vampire zombie movie. Right. Yeah. So then, yeah, he stabs him there, like you said, and then that dude finally dies. And so after that whole burst of action and stuff, you see Seth is kind of like, okay. He's like, well, now I don't believe in fucking vampires, but I do believe my own two fucking eyes. And what my own two fucking eyes saw were fucking vampires. So yeah, and he's like, okay, I guess vampires exist, so we're gonna, like, whatever. These guys want to kill us, whatever the hell they are, so we have to kill them. We have to fight for our lives here at this point. So that's kind of the predicament that they're in. And then they see the band, and then Savini is like, yeah, he's like, let's kill that fucking band now. And then the band guys are just sitting there, but because they're vampires now too, and they're just sitting there, and they're like, fuck you, good night, and they like spontaneously combust or something. They explode themselves. I guess they'd rather die from their own hands than, you know, other people killing them. And then so Seth sees Richie on the floor, and he's like, okay, like, let me say goodbye to my brother here. So he sees him, and he's like kind of, you know, looking over him, and he's like, I love you, Richie. And then all of a sudden you see him, he's like, I love you too. His voice is all deep and shit. And he looks weird as a vampire. He looks like fucking Peyton Manning or something with green skin. Yeah. Different. Yeah. He's on the floor. Yeah. And he gets up, and yeah, they're all like, and then the other people are about to kill him. He's like, no. He's like, this is my brother. He's like, yeah. He's like, he may be a fucking vampire, but he's my fucking brother. And then, and so they're holding him, and then he gets like a stake, and he says, he's like, here's the peace in death that I could not give you in life. He's like, yeah, and he like disintegrates there. But there's a cool shot there. If you see, like, you see him like kind of moving, and you see like he's wearing these contacts. He's wearing like Michael Jackson contacts, right? So that was actually a screen test. Like, they did that. They were like, oh, let's see how he looks with these. So Rodriguez, he was like, oh, I want to put these contacts in your eyes, because he's like, you have the deadest fucking eyes I've ever seen. Like, his eyes he has no like shine to his eyes. That's what he was saying. That's what Rodriguez was saying. He's like, you have the most brown, like, vacant eyes ever. So he's like, I need to put contacts in there to like have it something visual. So he put those things, and he shot this little thing of him on the, like, looking at the camera. Yeah. Yeah, and that wasn't there. That was like totally somewhere else. That was like in a studio. But then he cut it back. He cut it in, and it gave it this cool effect to it, right? Like he changed back, and then he kind of changed back. Like, you know, like he was that monster, and then he changed back to that, and then he became a monster again. Like, it gave it this cool effect. So what they were saying on the commentary, so they actually used that still of him with those contacts. That's on the Japanese poster of From Dusk Till Dawn. So you see like Clooney with a gun, and then you see Tarantino's big face with the contacts on. It's like From Dusk Till Dawn. So like, he's like, it's funny that they used that for the poster. He's like, all of a sudden I'm this big ass star in Japan. Like, they use that particular. Yeah, but it's funny because I feel like in Japanese posters they usually find like the coolest part that they end up using for the poster. You know. Because I feel like on the US shit, it's like generic. You just see a guy's head, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like they're fucking boring. But I feel like when they do these Japanese posters, they always cherry pick like the best parts of it somehow. and that's like
They're
a really
good.
cool shot. You
Yeah,
know?
they're good at finding it.
Yeah. So Seth has to kill Richie there, and so they're kind of like, okay, like what the fuck do we do now? And so we see who gets bit here. We see Harvey Keitel who gets bit
We're
during
just
that
going
whole
through
scene.
all of them, or up to
Yeah,
that point.
yeah, like of those main guys. Like, so of everyone left, see
The girl hasn't been bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, Clooney hasn't.
Yeah,
And the son hasn't.
not yet, but
Not yet.
Savini and him and
Miss Savini and Richie
and
so far.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, and then Fred Williamson is there too, but he's not
later
yet.
though.
Yeah.
Him and Savini are later,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. So, but how does I think Savini gets bit in all that fighting, but he hides it. He hides it.
Yeah, because later on you see him show his teeth, but I
Yeah.
forget. He must have got bit at some point.
He got bit in all that fighting, but he kind of tries to hide it. So
you don't see it,
yeah.
but then you see him.
So the others don't know. Yeah.
And then he reveals it.
Yeah, the others don't know.
Right.
And then Juliette Lewis is like, "Oh my god, like so much bloodshed." She's kind of like reflecting on that.
Yeah.
And then Fred Williamson's like, "Oh, like you never seen this, huh?" He's like, "I have." He's like, "I was in Nam," and he explains the whole Vietnam. Basically, he's like, "I saw all this yellow flesh everywhere." He has this Nam speech, like a cliche Nam speech kind of. But then you see Sex Machine Savini. You see him like all of a sudden he's like, "Oh shit!" Like he sees like he's getting fangs, and he's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Crap! I need to hide this shit." And then he sees his hands like start. He gets like claws all of a sudden. He's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "I need to hide this shit." And so he's doing this Nam speech, and he's turning into a vampire, but he's trying to hide it. And then Fred Williamson, he keeps going, and then all of a sudden you see like these hands, like pull up behind him. You're like, what the fuck is that? And then he's like, he like bites his ass. Yeah,
got him. Yeah,
he bites into his ass. But it's weird because a lot of these guys, it takes time for them to turn into a vampire. For some reason, Fred Williamson, he turns into one right away. There's no consistency.
But that's why you say for this film you can't.
You can't take it too seriously.
You just have to take it for what it is.
Yeah. So and it's funny because right when so because of that, they start shooting. And it shoots a hole into the wall, and then all these bats come in. So all these bats come in at that point, right? Yeah, and then
they go hide.
Yeah, exactly. Because all these bats will turn into vampires.
Right.
Yeah.
Just in bat form.
Yeah, but that's what's funny is that he's like, it's funny because Tarantino says it. He's like Fred Williamson. He's a vampire for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden he's like king of the vampires because he's like leading all the bats. He's like, eat them. Like, he's like, go get them. Like.
You see him go like this or something.
Yeah, like he's like,
I've seen that picture where he's like this.
Yeah.
They all just like,
because
like, what is he? The conductor?
Yeah, because he's like a vampire for 2 seconds. So,
all of a sudden he's like this.
It's like, he's like, that's holy. Like
that was a fast transformation.
Right? Yeah, and all of a sudden he's the leader.
I did find that kind of like, what the hell?
It's really quick. Yeah, exactly. But it's funny that even Tarantino and Rodriguez acknowledges how funny that is, like how stupid that is. Because on the commentary,
he says it on there.
Yeah, because Tarantino even says it. He's like, I love how he's like a vampire for 2 seconds. All of a sudden, he's like king of the vampires. The bats. It's like my children, go. So yeah, then they have to kill his ass. Yeah. Have to stake his ass, but then also kind of get away from the bats and stuff. But then those other dudes, they get Keitel, like they get Jacob Fuller at that point.
Yeah.
So he gets bit, and they're like, "Oh shit, Dad!" And they're like, "Fuck!" And so they're like, eventually he's gonna die because they have to kill him once he turns.
Well, that's when they go to the room and he's able to.
Right.
They let him in the room. They look like they're vampires, but they look just like monsters at that point.
Yeah, they're kind of like those demon knight creatures. They look like that.
Yeah, the dad is able to go to this room where they ran off into. Yeah,
they ran out. They left him kind of for dead because they're like, he's been bitten, so they kind of have to let him be.
Right.
Even though the kids didn't necessarily want that, but
of course
they had to. Yeah.
But he was able to make like a cross, right? With like
he makes a cross out of his rifle and like a stick,
which was smart.
Yeah,
and they couldn't infiltrate him with that as long as that
because of that. Yeah. So he's at the bar and there's like thousands of vampires there. So right when he gets up, you see like a sea of vampires. Right. But he uses that as he backs into this room where they went to, and then finally they let him in, and then they close the door, and you see like this bat like
It almost got
sticking
in
out,
there,
yeah.
right?
And then he's like, just
Right.
blows his head off,
Right.
shuts it.
Yeah.
But I remember as a kid, I thought that scene was scary because it's like, dude, like just out of that room, there's thousands of them.
Anything in swarms is
Yeah,
scary. It's a lot of
much
them.
less vampires and swarms. Yeah, you're done. So they kind of regroup here, like, okay, what's our plan? And the dad's like, oh, he's like, I'm gonna turn into a vampire anytime. It's like, so I'm a better use if I go fight with you now. He's like, that way you can use me.
Like either you take me out now, or you try to kill them off, and then once I turn, basically,
then you kill him. Yeah, because at least you have another hand to fight with you.
Right, at least I helped you, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn, but I can help you in the battle right now.
Yeah, and he tells his kids, he's like, oh, make sure you kill my ass, like when I turn. Yeah.
Which was good, because you don't want to have to say that, but you don't. You know that at that point, you're the enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to try to kill them. They haven't turned themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, "Oh, promise me you're gonna do that." And they're like, "Yeah, we'll do that." He's like, "No, promise me."
He's like really intense about it. Yeah, he puts.
If you don't promise me, And they're like, "All right, Dad, all right." And he tells both his kids, and they're like, "Okay." And the son's like, "Okay, I'll kill you, Dad." He's like, he's like, "All right." He's like, "All right, Dad, I'll kill you. Let's kill you when you turn into a vampire." Yeah. Right. And then it's funny because Seth is like, all right, we're done with the hugging and shit. Like, we gotta kill these guys.
He's ready to get on with the mission.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, like let's see what they got in here. And they're like, what is all this shit? And they're like, oh, they've been doing this for years. Like, they've been just any trucker who comes in, they just take all this shit and leave it here. Yeah. So they're like, okay, let's see what they got. So they're looking through it. And every good vampire movie has a ammo scene, has a load up on ammo scene, right? Yeah. This. And I mean, if you are gonna make a great vampire movie,
you should have.
Yeah, I think you need that load up on ammo scene. Right. Yeah, so they find some cool stuff. Obviously, it's like almost the Lost Boys. He finds the super soakers, so obviously you can use holy water. Yeah, which the dad can bless. He can bless with their water. Yes.
Stakes.
He has like a drill or whatever that he puts the sharp. Yeah, that's perfect. That's good to go. She finds a crossbow that she can use.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, we got. And then he has like the water balloons too, like in Lost Boys too.
That's right. So he can throw the water balloons.
Yeah. So they have those, and they're like, okay, ready?
This is good.
Yeah, ready or not, let's go. So then they open it up, and he has the cross there, and then they're like, when they kind of get in good position, they're like, all right, so then they just start killing them. Yeah. He starts drilling them. They start shooting the crossbow. He starts shooting, throwing the water balloons. He starts shooting the super soakers. Yeah, and then there comes a point where you see Jacob. He's like about to fight some other guys, or some other vampires about to come up to him, and then they're like, oh, and they kind of back off him, and you see he's like kind of like leaning over, and they're like, oh shit, like now he's turned, like he's one of them now.
That's why they stopped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so he turns around and you see his like ugly vampire face. And he's like, argh! And then they're like, oh shit, like that.
Coincidentally, he goes after his own son.
He bites his own son. He's like, argh! Yeah, he bites his own son.
He was the closest person to him that wasn't a vampire.
But I guess he's like, oh, well, if you're going to get bitten by a vampire, not from your own dad.
At least you know me. I'm not just a stranger taking you out.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, they end up biting me 5 seconds later. He's like, yeah, but that was the first one.
Right, because that's exactly what happens. Like about 3 or 4 vampires eat his arm.
Yeah.
They're all over him.
They end up just like running a train on him.
I told you, he's the only one that got like feasted on like that. Everyone else was like a 1 bite.
Yeah.
His was like a 4 bite.
They had a buffet.
Like, let me join in too.
Yeah.
Like,
they're like, pass that. Yeah. So they had like 3 or 4 of them on him. Yeah.
And he looks at his sister
right
at the time.
So, I mean, they kill the dad there, because they had to at that point. But then his sister has her crossbow, and she's like, oh, like, I don't, I feel bad. It's my brother.
She doesn't do it, but he's telling her.
Yeah, he's suffering, and it's like for the greater good,
Yeah.
He's like, want to kill me. He's like, come on. He's like, I'm suffering here. And she's like, all right. So she finally just does it. She shoots the crossbow, and then they all explode. Like, I don't know how that happened. I don't know how
does one turn into like
cause this like huge
explosion. You're like,
Yeah. I think that was another Lost Boys thing, because like the death by stereo, when he shoots that.
And then
And that explosion. Yeah, I think maybe it was another.
Maybe that was
Yeah,
homage to that.
So at that point, then it's only
two left.
Seth and Juliet, Seth and Kate. So they're there and they're kind of backed up. They're like, oh shit, like, it's just us and there's still all these vampires here, and they're kind of in the middle, like, okay, what do we do?
Right.
They're trying. I think they're like running out of bullets. They're like pretty low on shit now.
And you got to get to the rat scene, which was next, right?
Oh yeah. No, so that was that was earlier.
That was earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something. So when they kill Sex Machine, when they kill Savini.
Oh, that's what he turns.
Yeah, that's what he turns into. So earlier, there was a scene where like he I think he chops off Savini's head, or he blows his head off. Yeah, like,
well, he gets his little whip thing and pulls it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember? Yeah. He yanked it off.
Right.
And the head came off. And the head is still alive.
Yeah.
They shoot the head.
Yeah.
But then his body is still there, and that's when his body.
Yeah, you see his body there in his leather jacket and stuff like that.
All of a sudden, it's just like a rat looking.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, this new head of a rat comes out of his body, and then he's like this big rat. Exactly.
Get that.
Yeah, and so I guess the whole thing was they had this freaky rat lying around, like in their studio, and they're like, oh, where can we use this? And they're like, oh, let's try to use it in this. Yeah.
Put it in the movie.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, he turns into some rat thing. So they use that there. And then it was funny because Robert Rodriguez was like, oh, I never thought I'd see George Clooney fighting some giant rat.
Well, you made it happen in the movie.
So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I love that. And then they ends up being.
And fast forward, and then it goes to now it's just them two.
We cut back to the end, near end, and it's just them two. And then I think Clooney, he tries shooting one of them, but he misses or whatever, and it hits. It like causes a hole into the.
Which was good because it caused light, and we all know vampires cannot be in sunlight.
So he saw one of the vampires, like when he missed and hit that hole, created that hole, like the light came through and it like burned the vampire. It was like, and he's like, he saw that. He's like, oh shit,
let me put more holes.
They keep shooting. He's like, come on. So they keep shooting, and then it's causing more, and you see the light come in, the sunlight, because it's already sun by that point. It's morning, and you see it comes in. It's like,
hear some voices from the door.
Yeah, exactly. They hear some voices outside, and he's like, and they're like, Seth, where's Seth? And he's like, Carlos. He's like, oh, shoot the door, shoot it down. Like, and so he's like, you hear some gunshots. They're shooting outside. Yeah, exactly. They bust open the door, and then all this sunlight comes in, and these vampires start exploding like right when it hits them.
The key point that you said was the disco ball.
Yeah, it hits that disco ball.
From that, it was just like killing.
That just kills them all. It just kills everyone because it's a spinning ball, spinning the sunlight basically.
Into the light, and the light's just reflecting,
just hitting all of them. So anyone who's a vampire is gonna explode right there.
They were done.
Yeah, it's just like you see it. It's pretty cool.
That was cool that they did that.
Yeah, that was a cool effect. Like you hadn't seen that. Like you've seen that cliche of sunlight,
but not with that type of element where a disco ball is being used to hit the sun and then it hits the.
Exactly. Not like that. Not at a strip club.
So they go outside. They're all together.
Yeah. So like finally, all the vampires are dead, and they can kind of breathe easily. But then Seth is pissed off at Carlos, who's also once again plays that role. So he plays 3 roles. He's like, "Why the hell did you tell me to come here?" He's like, just a place in the middle of nowhere. There's no cops. He's like, that's why it would be a good place. And then he's like, we almost fucking died. Like, I lost my fucking brother. She lost her whole fucking family here. And then he's like, what are they, psychos or something? And he's like, psychos? You think psychos explode and sunlight hits them? They're fucking vampires. And he's like, oh, sorry. He's like, you want more money? He's like, okay. He's like, how can I make this up to you? And he's like, 50%. And he's like, 20. And he's like, okay, 25. And then he's like, you want beer? He's like, I got foreign and domestic. And then Juliette Lewis, Kate, she's like, oh, like, should I go with you, Richie? Or Seth, can I go with you, Seth? And he gets into the car and he's like, I'm a bastard, but I'm not a fucking bastard. Such a distinction. Such a difference. Yeah. So we talked about that. He doesn't change at all. I love that.
Right? No, he stayed the same.
He stays the bastard the whole time. Not a fucking bastard, but a bastard. There's no arc. There's no.
He's a bastard the whole movie.
He's consistent, and we appreciate that.
You don't see that in a lot of movies.
Yeah, you don't. It's always about redemption and vulnerability and stuff, and I like that he doesn't do that at all. He's an asshole from day one. And that's something that in the commentary they were saying, and like Rodriguez was like, oh, he's like, basically you're seeing these assholes for 2 hours, and then Tarantino's like, he's like, but they're charming assholes. He's like, they're funny assholes, and he's like, oh yeah, for sure. He's like, they are, and it's kind of cool. So like how the ending is kind of abrupt, which I actually like. So that's almost like kind of a technique, like for you guys who want to make your own horror movies out there.
I think there should be more to it, because abrupt meaning like.
No, it's in a good way, because so Tarantino, he wrote it like that on purpose, because he was like, oh, he's like, you know what? He's like, I got this advice from Roger Corman. I mean, Roger Corman, he was a great producer back in the day, but he founded a lot of dudes. He gave first director jobs to all those guys, to Scorsese, Brian De Palma, Joe Dante, like all these guys. He had a really good eye for talent. So he founded all these guys basically, and he had them do B movies as their like first movies, and then they ended up doing bigger movies after that. But he did a lot of like B movies himself. He directed a lot of like B horror and stuff. And he was like, oh, he's like, when you make a horror movie, he's like, when the monster's dead, the movie's over. He was like, when the monster dies, he's like, just end the movie. He's like, end it right there. He's like, if you just keep prolonging it after that, it just makes the film worse. Like it just brings it back down, makes it boring. Yeah,
that was the end of the movie.
So that's what he said. He's like, when the monster dies, the movie's over. Like, you just go home after that. So that's what his advice was. So he's like, the ending is kind of abrupt. He's like, but it felt like we didn't need to add anything else. Exactly. So you see Seth, he drives off.
She drives off. And they just have the view of the building.
So you see the back of the titty twister, and it zooms out, and then you see it's connected to this big ass pyramid, like this Aztec pyramid there, right?
Cool shot.
Yeah, I love that. It was a nice little twist ending almost, you know what I mean? Kubrick or Takashi Miike-esque ending, which Rodriguez usually wouldn't do something like that, but it was a nice little thing. And then you see all these like trucks and like that have fallen down in the back and stuff like that. That was a cool little twist. So that was from Dusk Till Dawn. What did you think watching this back?
It was good to relive it again. I don't really watch it that often.
Right.
But like I said, when I get the urge to want to rewatch it for whatever reason, I just remember those scenes and those lines, especially the Cheech line. I mean, that's probably one of the main reasons why I want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
It just never gets old. But it just, it's always a good time to sit down and watch that and relive, what we think is one of Clooney's best. And
I think it's Clooney's best, honestly. All his Oscar-worthy shit pales in comparison to me for this. Like, I
think he nailed that role. I would have to watch a lot of his other stuff. I can't speak on a lot of his other works, but for this role in particular, I think it was made for him. I don't know if anyone else was casting for it. Pretty sure there's a few people and they just chose Clooney, but I couldn't see anyone else pulling it off the way he did. He just seemed like he was made for this movie. And it was a good time watching him.
And he hasn't done something like that really ever since. This is kind of his own.
No, and they haven't really worked again. And you were telling me they had a little.
Yeah, they had a little beef recently,
which was kind of
weird, unexpected.
And so many years later,
right?
They made a great movie, so it was just like, one, why haven't they made another movie? And two, you talked about the beef that happened. That was interesting. Taking shots at each other.
Yeah, it was recently. Tarantino was doing an interview where he mentioned, I don't know, Ocean's 11 or one of these movies, and he was saying like, he's like, I didn't like that because this and this is like he was saying, but it was like from an artistic standpoint, that's what he meant.
That's his opinion.
But then they brought that up too, because Clooney and Brad Pitt, they did a thing, Wolves, whatever the hell it's called, recently for Apple TV, and they're like, oh, like Tarantino mentioned you recently, and he's like, yeah, and like you can see Clooney was like pissed off about it, and he was like, I'm kind of surprised he would take that seriously. He's like, yeah, and he's like, well, didn't you guys work together or whatever? And then he was like, he was great. That's what the interview said. Like, he was great, wasn't he? And then
Like, all right.
Quentin was like, well, he was good. He wasn't great. Okay, but I don't think Tarantino's clapped back from that. I think he was just like, whatever. Like, I don't think he was trying to diss him necessarily.
He took it kind of
yeah, he took it as a diss, but I don't think he was like,
he didn't mean
it was more like a critique of his work. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was just critiquing.
Yeah, but yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
One of our Halloween time movies. Hopefully we do get to squeeze in a few more before the Halloween season is over.
Halloween's coming, so let's see if we can get.
Yeah, exactly. No. All right. Briterion Bollection, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.